Number one, was January 6th an insurrection or a riot?
January
Yes.
6th was obviously an insurrection by every definition of that word. I'm happy to discuss it further, but if you look at the purpose of what that insurrection was for, it was to stop the transfer of power of the rightfully elected presidency of Joe Biden. We understand exactly the history and usage of the term insurrection, and that it wasn't meant to apply only to these like overwhelming coups that occur. If you look to history, to the Whiskey Rebellion, and to even the Civil War, which started basically based on the fact that the Southern states did not accept the transfer of power to Abraham Lincoln, and the efforts to secede from the Union from there started basically for the same reason, a lack of content of the elections, of the results of a fair and free election. And so there should be no question here that January 6th was an insurrection. Anyone who wants
At what
to die
moment?
on that hill,
Yeah. What's your definition?
Yeah, I was
What's your
going to
fucking
ask
definition?
that. I was going to ask
Yeah.
that because I actually looked up the definition of insurrection, and you type in definition of insurrection and you scroll down, and a comparable question is, what is the difference between rebellion and insurrection? And it gives the distinction.
And sedition,
And
yeah.
it says an insurrection is an armed rebellion. So were there guns that were used at January 6th by the protesters, Pisco?
the
To your knowledge?
definition of insurrection does not depend on gun ownership. Do you agree with that, Lauren?
Well, so the definition is a violent
Can you answer that
uprising of
question? Do you agree? Does the definition of insurrection depend on the possession of guns? Yes
You
or
staked
no?
your claim. Give a positive
Wait.
definition.
Can
Don't
you-
grill people
Well,
on
I'm
their
happy to give the positive.
definition.
I'm passive to give the positive.
Give your definition first.
Hang on. I'll give the positive definition, and then Lauren will answer that question. The positive
according to
definition.
this.
Hang on a second. I'm going to answer the question. The positive definition I'm using is from the Colorado Trial Court, which is as used in
Which
Section
one?
3.
They gave like
The
5
Colorado-
and then they didn't define it.
No. The Colorado Trial Court gave a definition. Do you disagree with that, Fabian?
They gave multiple definitions.
Did you read the
Let's go.
Colorado Trial Court opinion? Yes or no?
When it came out, and I mean, I'm not the
You read
lawyer.
the
here.
trial. Okay, so
So-
do you know or do you not know
so-
whether they used 5 definitions or 1 definition?
Okay,
There are multiple
it could have been
definitions.
4
Do you know
definitions.
or not know?
Pisco,
Fabian?
spit it out. Let's go.
Okay, so
You're-
then
Pisco,
don't
you're like-
shut
you're-
up.
you're trying-
Don't
you're
speak
trying
up
to
if you
subvert
don't
instead
know.
of-
Fabian, don't speak up
Did-
if you don't know. You don't know. The
Did
Colorado Trial-
they give multiple
you don't
definitions?
know.
Fabian, let him get
You
it
don't
out so
know.
we can actually move someplace.
The Colorado Trial Court did land on a definition. They did. It's a public use of force or threat of force by a group of people
Okay.
to hinder or prevent execution of the Constitution of the United States. That's
And the Colorado
that's-
court
know-
embarrassed itself
Hang on a
numerous
second. That's
times.
the Colorado
Let me ask
Trial Court.
Pisco,
The question
Pisco,
for
Pisco,
Lauren is. The
Pisco,
question for Lauren. Hang on.
Pisco.
The question for Lauren is. She's not going to go away from it. Do you think that the definition of insurrection requires the possession of guns? Yes or no?
Thank you for asking the question. Now let me answer it fully without interrupting me. So, according to the Colorado trial court definition, even when you look it up, they admit it's a loosely defined approach to an insurrection. So there are many, many people who could disagree with the Colorado court and still
That was
be
my question,
correct in
Lauren.
their legal analysis. So the way that I see that it's defined, it seems to be distinctly different from rebellion by the use of
Lauren,
armed
what was
forces.
my question?
I asked you to let me finish. So your question is about whether or not rebellion requires the use of arms.
Firearms.
Insurrection requires the use of arms.
Guns.
So according to this, I said arms. And are you specifically
You said
saying
guns.
guns? So like it can't be Mavlov cocktails or like tanks or anything
Hang on
like
a second.
that. I think you could use any
You said they
weapon.
didn't have guns, and I asked whether the definition of insurrection requires guns.
Well,
They didn't use any weapons. Did any of the protesters
the
use
question-
weapons
wait,
yes or
against?
no? Will
question
you
is-
answer that
wait.
question?
I would
Does
say
require
yeah, it
guns?
requires weapons.
Where-
Yeah.
Point to
If the-
one single definition.
I just
where
did.
Point to a single definition where the use of guns or the
just
possession
did.
of guns is a required element of that definition. Can you
I
cite a
just
single
did.
definition?
Yeah, I just did. From,
I would like to interject by saying that the rioters did have zip ties, body armor, clubs,
When
flags.
did
They
they
took
use
weapons
that?
from the cops.
Now you're guessing.
when did
Now
they
you're
use
guessing.
that?
When did they
When did
use
they
the
use
zip
it?
ties and the body armor? Why the fuck are they bringing zip ties and body armor to the state capitol? Who were they
didn't
going to
use
zip
it?
tie?
Body armor's not a
Wait,
fucking
they
weapon.
did. We have
Body armor's not a
Weapon.
fucking
we have
weapon.
tons.
Yeah,
we have
what were they
tons and
gonna
tons
use
of
the zip
footage on-
ties
wait,
for?
wait. We have tons
Wow.
and tons of footage online of these rioters using poles to hit police officers,
That's-
of them using whatever they
Yeah.
can get their hands on as a weapon. But I don't necessarily understand why that would even necessarily need to be an element. When we look at other countries, if a giant mob storms like the Capitol building and says, we are now the government, or attempts to stop the government from functioning, we call it insurrections there.
How
Everybody
many
talks
criminal
about,
convictions?
for example, if you
Wait,
wait,
the
no,
point is this.
I earlier,
Our
wait a
DOJ
second,
knows
no.
it wasn't an insurrection. If our DOJ thought it was an insurrection like you do, Pisco, they
You
would've
interrupted
charged people.
me
They
saying
would've
that you're
charged
trying to
people.
introduce the
Why
legal
did they
language
not
of
charge
insurrection.
anyone?
Wait, no.
Why was-
You introduced the legal language of insurrection in order to counter me when I was saying, when we talk about other countries, we see giant crowd storming Capitol buildings saying, we're going to stop this government. The laws will not be passed. We will not allow it. We call it insurrection there. Everybody says
Ukraine.
that when it comes to Ukraine in 2014. Everybody says
I'll
that
tell
when it
you
comes
why
to other
I introduced
countries.
legal.
Why does it not apply to us?
Why'd you bring up charges? Why are you
I-
dodging?
I can
Why
answer
does it
that
require
real
charges?
quick.
Wait, will you-
I can answer
will
that
you
very
people
quickly.
answer a
I'll answer
question?
your
Can we
question.
make them answer a question? Does
I
it
will
require
answer-
charges? Yes
I
or no?
can-
You made a claim.
What does that mean? An insurrection?
Well, you said that in
All right, wait,
context.
wait,
You
wait,
said
wait,
I
wait,
was
wait,
trying
real
to
quick,
call
real quick,
it-
whoa, 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 whoa,
Murder-
yeah, wait. Okay, real quick. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay. When we're asking a question, here's how we're gonna run this. When somebody says something, answer this question, or even if they say like answer it yes or no, you have to give an immediate answer. But then you are going to be allowed time afterwards to explain the answer. Okay. So somebody says, "Do you need this for it to be some bullshit?" You have to say yes or no, or in as many words, like very quickly say it, and then afterwards you can elaborate so that people don't get like railroaded. But it can't be a bunch of rambling. Okay. So
There's
yes,
two
answer
questions on the
question.
floor. One is, are guns required for an insurrection as a definitional matter? And the other is, are charges required as a definitional matter?
You framed that question to me.
We
No,
don't
no.
have an answer on either of those
You-
yet. I'd like answers to
I
both.
answered it. You posed the first question to me. It was whether or not weapons or arms are required.
Guns.
You keep
I'm
trying
talking
to.
about guns.
Why specifically guns? Okay, fine.
Because
Then
you
no.
said guns.
Then no.
Okay,
No.
so then
I
we can
I
put
did
that
not say
aside.
guns. I said any weapons. The protesters didn't use any weapons
Okay.
in order to get into the Capitol. So,
They did.
however, there is a distinction between
is
a
your position they
rebellion and
didn't
an
use weapons? Is it
insurrection.
your-
I don't know what you're
position that-
talking
wait,
about.
is-
I
is
mean,
your
I
can I
saw
ask a
the
question?
weapons.
I want-
They
use
had
weapons?
weapons. I don't know what
Yeah,
you're
what-
talking about.
Can I have a question?
You're talking about-
Does
Is
if
it
you
the
steal
bar-
a
are you
on
saying
January
the
6th,
barricade?
they use bats and they use poles to hit people on
The
January.
bar-
Those are weapons.
and windows, they were smashing in windows or something like there was.
They had
it's it's-
pistol
it's-
I've got a
question. I've got a question. If you steal a riot shield from a cop and use it as a weapon, does that count as a weapon to you, Lauren?
You have to
that-
answer
Or a
yourself.
taser,
Yes.
or
Bring
pepper
a
spray, or a
weapon.
fire
Whoa,
extinguisher,
okay,
or
no,
a steel
that's what
chair,
you're doing.
Weapons are only-
Yeah,
baseball
okay,
bat,
so
flag
as far as I
pole.
know,
All
as far as I
three of
know,
these
as far as I
questions-
know,
all
the
three
first
of
the
these
first
questions
breach. I
are
was
taking-
finished asking my line of questions, bro. Come on.
Given
There's always-
space
there's
to
another round of
elaborate and
questions
not
that-
be interrupted when we were in, I try to give my I try to follow your instructions explicitly. I said yes, and then I wanted to
Yeah.
elaborate, and I got immediately cut off. So there
know,
is a
I know.
distinction between insurrection and rebellion. The distinction between insurrection and rebellion is that insurrection requires the use of arms. So that answers your question, Pisco.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask.
Stop it.
Yeah, and Lauren, I wanted to
Wait,
ask.
wait,
So,
Did they have arms or not on January 6th? Did they or not?
I like, for instance,
Is the
Enrique.
answer yes?
They did not use arms on January 6th. No.
Okay, so is a bat an arm when used against police officers?
Okay. If
I can tell
What
you,
about
like,
windows?
that's
It
how they
can
Can I ask-
be
I
a
wanna
weapon,
check- fuck me.
but
let me
like,
interject here for a moment.
for
Now,
the
hopefully we can bring a
state-
little bit of.
I would say
hopefully
in
we can-
this context,
Hold
no.
on, just for a second.
Okay.
So maybe Pisco, if you can calm down, and if everybody can answer your questions whilst you calm the fuck down, right? I think there's a little bit of a problem here. Couple.
Yes, and one
the
quick problem
first
is
one
radical
is that-
coder. I think you're using the wrong microphone. Everybody keeps saying that. Okay.
Yeah,
fix it.
I think it should be fixed now.
Okay.
Just-
Sorry.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
you
Fabian,
sound
go
much
back,
better.
Fabian. Go.
Better, yeah.
Thank you.
So, and I think Dylan inadvertently discovered this, and it kind of got trammeled over because everyone was like yelling about questions, which is that there is a colloquial understanding of what we mean by insurrection, right? And then there are the lawyers here who and the people that are very interested in law, that I think their natural instinct was immediately to start talking about legal definitions. And I do think it's important that we might use the word insurrection to mean some form of rising up to stop a law. And it's an extremely vague and open-ended thing that you could apply to many things. You could apply it to Black Lives Matter protests. You could apply it to nearly any riot, for example, that is designed to stop some function, or that stops police from doing their job, et cetera, right? And then there is a legal definition of insurrection in the American vein, which is tied to the Civil War, designed to ensure that former Confederates don't hold political office. And when we get into like what insurrection is and how it differs from sedition, that's fine. We can talk about that, but I think it's important that maybe the lawyers remember that, to the audience and to a lot of other people, there's two kind of ways that we use this flying around and like immediately screaming about the legal nuances I think is
reason-
becoming like unhelpful.
The reason that the attorneys are thinking that way is because it helps clear any vagueness. It helps the reason lawyers are taught in law
I'm with you.
school
I'm
how
with
to.
No,
So
it's
I don't
not
understand.
simply that. It's really not simply that. Fabian, you're correct. There is a difference between the colloquial usage of the term and the legal definition of the term. The problem is that the colloquial definition of the term has literally no definition. So there's no point.
Yes,
it's a
super
it's a silly,
open-ended, yeah.
It's a silly question to try and analyze colloquially.
Can I ask a quick? Wait, can I ask a quick?
I'm almost done. And then my point is
Or
this.
just
it's a
on
silly
that, can I ask a
question
quick thing about what you just said? Can I just ask a quick
ahead.
question about what you said? Okay, is there a legal definition for insurrection?
There has
The-
to be.
at least-
The Constitution has the.
I know the
term
Constitution references it, but is there
insurrection, so
a
therefore
legal
there's a
definition for it?
There's no firm standard that has been put in as to when something rises to the level of insurrection on a legal basis.
Also, okay, if you want to do the legal lawyer thing too, okay, if you want to say that you're citing a legal definition, you need to cite some part of the U.S. Code or some part of the Constitution, because it's not a legal definition unless you're actually citing something of the
That's
U.S.
wrong.
Code.
You could be
Was
citing
it-
What do you mean?
courts,
Wait,
you
wait,
could be
wait,
you don't have
citing
anything.
precedent, you could be citing,
It is
yeah.
wrong.
I
No,
mean,
wait,
you're
that's
fucking
fine.
way
Yeah, okay, sure.
wrong.
You can fight. You can wait.
You
Hold
should
on.
take back what you just said.
That-
Hold on,
that's
shut the fuck up.
embarrassingly
Stop.
wrong.
Stop. Or okay, or you can cite a prior case, okay? But right now, so what you just brought up, Lauren, I couldn't find that. I googled it. It looked like that came from Wikipedia. When you said that like an insurrection requires like weapons, is that what is like the case? Whatever. You guys should like refer to cases or refer to like the like actual legal code or refer to some part of the Constitution. You have to refer to something in particular, okay? Whatever it is, I don't know what it has to be,
That's
but
why
you
I
have to
cited
refer
the
to something in
Colorado
particular.
trial court opinion. and
Was it a
I would
peaceful
say-
uprising against the state?
Pisco, I understand. Pisco, I understand that you cited that, and that I think that's fair, and I think that's good. But then when other people are arguing you about that citation, they need another citation. That's what I'm saying. Like if you're going to make legal appeals, like
Okay.
appeal to something, right?
Logic,
And I'm gonna
Fabian,
agree,
and
George.
Lauren,
Just-
I want to ask
in
you a
case we're-
question.
Just in case anyone's still stuck about the thing with weapons as well. Like, we know that like the leader of the Oath Keepers on the morning of January 6th was telling his members that you should, if you're going to bring a blade, make sure it's under 3 inches because over 3 is prohibited in DC publicly. And then also, we know that the first breach of the Capitol building was literally a guy who stole a riot shield from an officer and used it to smash the window. Not to mention, even it was the deputy chief of
building,
staff
yeah.
for operations who went to Trump and said that that these people have weapons and they don't want them to be confiscated.
No,
So,
according to
yeah.
Lauren, they weren't armed.
I
They
want
weren't
to
armed.
Pisco. Oh my God! All right, so I want to ask a
just wanna
question
be
to
super quick.
Fabian, Logic, and Lauren. The question is, I asked, was it a violent uprising against the government, which is definitional colloquial insurrection, and if it wasn't,
I'd be
was it a
with
peaceful uprising against the government?